The following morning, while Noah is getting dressed, one of the maids enters his room and informs him that a guest has arrived. The visitor is Dead Marley, the Governor-General of the Holjoy community. As soon as Noah hears the name, he immediately assumes the visit must be related to the fief under his authority. He tells the maid to allow Dead to come in while he finishes getting ready, assuring her that he will join the guest shortly. Within the royal family, it is a long-standing tradition for princes to be granted fiefs. This practice allows them to learn firsthand how governance and leadership function in real situations. Because of this custom, the people living within those territories tend to respect the prince, overseeing them almost as if he were their true monarch. Dead Marley is no exception to this belief. When Noah and Dead finally meet, they sit together and talk for a while about general matters. As the conversation progresses, Noah suddenly recalls that Dead had once received an imperial order to manage the flood control system in Holjoy. However, judging from the condition of the region's economy, Noah already suspects that things are probably not going well. Holjoy is a fertile land famous for producing large amounts of grain, located along the bend of a massive river. Despite its fertile soil, the region frequently suffers from severe flooding. These recurring disasters are the very reason the emperor appointed Dead, the leader of the Water Clan, to govern the area, hoping that he could bring stability and proper control to the land. Dead does not waste time with formalities. He openly admits that the region under his governance is far too poor to maintain the flood control operations. Because of this, he has come to request a loan from Noah. Noah finds this situation difficult to believe. Since the project was ordered directly by the emperor, it should have been properly funded from the start. Dead then reveals the troubling truth: the funds that were supposed to support the project were never actually delivered. According to him, the Ministry of Finance has been repeatedly delaying the payment, offering excuse after excuse whenever he asks about it. Hearing this, Noah immediately rises from his seat and escorts Dead straight to see Maverick, the Minister of Finance. Upon arriving, Noah demands an explanation for why the funds allocated for Holjoy have been delayed for so long. Maverick calmly responds that there is a perfectly reasonable explanation. He explains that Holjoy suffered severe flood damage the previous year, and because the emperor felt sympathy for the people there, he granted the region a tax exemption. Maverick argues that Holjoy should still have leftover tax money and should use that before requesting additional financial support. Noah instantly recognizes that this explanation is nonsense. His expression turns cold, and his voice becomes firm as he orders Maverick to stop lying and speak honestly. Maverick had never expected Noah to confront him so directly and is clearly shocked by the sudden shift in tone. After a moment of hesitation, he finally admits the truth. Even if he wanted to release the funds, he claims he cannot do so at the moment because the emperor is planning a vacation in a few months. Maverick believes it would be better for the emperor to spend his holiday in a cool countryside villa rather than the scorching capital, and arranging such a luxurious trip would require an enormous amount of money. Noah immediately sees through the excuse, recognizing it as nothing more than a typical embezzlement scheme. Without hesitation, he tells Maverick to distribute the funds to Holjoy immediately, warning him that if he refuses, Noah will personally report the matter to the emperor. At that moment, Maverick immediately begins groveling, begging Noah not to inform the emperor about what has happened. He quickly agrees to provide Holjoy with all the funding necessary for the flood control project. Dead watches the entire scene unfold in utter disbelief. He cannot believe that someone so young was able to make the powerful Minister of Finance grovel without even lifting a finger. From that moment onward, Dead develops a deep admiration for Noah and respects him more than ever. Afterward, Dead returns to Holjoy to begin implementing the flood control measures as quickly as possible. Not long after this meeting, a royal messenger arrives to inform Noah that the emperor has summoned him to the palace immediately. Noah answers the summons and kneels before the emperor, wondering what could have prompted such a sudden call. To his surprise, the emperor explains that he summoned Noah only to commend him for taking decisive action on behalf of Holjoy and for exposing Maverick's embezzlement. Noah accepts the praise, but he cannot help feeling puzzled about how the emperor already knew about the incident, considering everything had taken place less than 30 minutes earlier. The emperor then pats Noah gently on the head and tells him that what he accomplished today is truly remarkable for someone of his age. Noah is so surprised by the gesture that he even blushes slightly. The emperor then brings up another impressive achievement of Noah's. He has successfully wielded the Leviathan sword, a weapon known for its dark and dangerous history. Seeing Noah's potential at such a young age, the emperor even went as far as hiring the greatest swordsman in the empire, Damien, to train him in the proper use of the weapon. Damien is widely regarded as the most skilled swordsman in the empire, someone no one has ever managed to defeat. The emperor believes Noah will gain tremendous knowledge under his guidance. Damien feels honored to receive such an important responsibility. However, before beginning the training, he decides to test Noah's current abilities so he can determine where to begin. The two immediately begin sparring. During the duel, Noah suddenly feels the memories and techniques of past Leviathan users flowing through him. Although he still possesses the physical strength of a child, he manages to execute the sword's technique flawlessly, disarming Damien in a single move. Damien then turns toward the Emperor, bows deeply, and apologizes. He admits that there is nothing more he can teach Noah, as the boy has already mastered the Leviathan technique well enough to defeat him. The Emperor bursts into laughter, praising Noah once again for his incredible talent. Impressed by his abilities, the Emperor then appoints Noah as the head judge for the upcoming Knight Selection exam, believing that no one else would be more suitable for the role. Noah steps forward and accepts the responsibility with a small smile. The Knight Selection exam is an annual event held across the entire empire. Since the empire values martial strength above all else, many people believe that the path of a warrior is the best way to achieve success and rise in status. In the exam, fighters who win the preliminary rounds in their respective regions travel to the capital for the final stage. The champion earns the prestigious title of knight and immediately enters the upper ranks of society, beginning their service under a head judge. Noah realizes that having a talented knight serving under him would greatly increase his own strength and influence. The Emperor then asks Noah how he plans to conduct the exam. Traditionally, the head judge must first decide whether the tournament will follow an elimination format or a round-robin system. However, Noah instead makes an unexpected request. He asks the Emperor to remove all regional preliminaries and hold the entire selection process in the capital. His reasoning is simple: the empire is far too large for him to personally observe the preliminaries in every region. Because of this, he fears that some strong candidates might be eliminated unfairly before he ever has the chance to see their abilities. The Emperor sees no problem with this proposal and tells Noah to proceed however he wishes. The following day, Noah learns that certain villages typically send only one candidate each year for the Knight Selection exam. He tells Zoe that they can now send as many candidates as they want since the regional preliminaries have been removed. However, Zoe explains that the villages limit themselves to one participant because they simply cannot afford the travel and lodging expenses required to attend the exam in the capital. Not wanting talented fighters to miss their chance due to poverty, Noah decides to cover all travel expenses himself. He calls Dylan over and orders him to purchase every vacant house in the capital so they can be used as dormitories for the incoming candidates. As for food, Dylan is instructed to contact several merchants and arrange regular deliveries to support the large number of participants. Later that day, Noah meets with Byron, the merchant responsible for supplying goods. When Noah reviews the bill, he immediately finds it suspicious because it is far lower than expected. Byron claims the reduced price is simply a discount offered out of respect for the 13th prince of the empire. However, Noah quickly realizes that this explanation is not genuine. Assuming Byron must want something in return, Noah directly asks what it is. Byron is astonished that someone so young was able to see through the situation so easily. He then explains that there is a palace employment exam held on a similar scale as the Knight Selection exam, and he was hoping Noah might share some insight into what kind of people would be selected. From the conversation, Noah quickly understands that Byron wishes to place a girl inside the palace. He understands the reasoning behind the request. Having someone inside the palace would allow Byron to obtain important information about future events and political changes. Noah agrees to the request, but only under one condition: he must personally approve the girl who will be sent to the palace. Byron assures him that Noah will certainly like the candidate he has chosen. He then bows deeply before the prince. As a gesture of admiration, Byron also promises to display his family crest on his store sign. Noah accepts this, but he firmly warns Byron that he will never tolerate betrayal. On the ride home, Noah suddenly notices something strange. Accepting Byron as a subordinate has caused one of his stats to increase. However, after a short time, he realizes that another stat has decreased instead. This immediately makes him uneasy. He begins to suspect that something might have happened in Almeria. Concerned, Noah tells Zoe that he must see the Emperor immediately. When Noah appears before the Emperor, he explains that he has sensed changes within the Empire. However, judging by his father's calm reaction, it almost seems as if the Emperor already knows about the situation. The Emperor then reveals the truth: a rebellion has broken out in Almeria. Upon hearing this, Noah realizes that his stat dropped from SS to S. However, because the decrease occurred in a unique way, he assumes that the rebellion must be relatively small in scale. The Emperor confirms his assumption, explaining that approximately 5,000 rebels have been identified, all within Noah's fief. He then asks Noah how he intends to deal with them. Noah hesitates before answering honestly. Since he is still young and inexperienced in real combat, he believes it would be impossible for him to handle the situation alone. He is also uncertain whether the soldiers would even obey his commands. Because of this, Noah suggests that the task should instead be given to his older brother, Henry, who is far more capable of leading troops in battle. The Emperor respects Noah's decision and orders that Henry be summoned immediately. About an hour later, Noah and Henry leave the palace together in a carriage. Henry is surprised that Noah willingly gave up such an opportunity, since successfully suppressing the rebellion could have greatly benefited his future reputation. Suddenly, the Leviathan sword senses danger. Noah immediately orders the carriage to stop. He quickly realizes that the attackers are targeting him specifically and decides that he cannot allow his brother to get involved. Stepping outside the carriage, Noah is immediately struck by several water-based attacks. Fortunately, he manages to raise a shield in time and protect himself. The rebels reveal themselves and rush toward him. However, Noah effortlessly cuts them down with the Leviathan sword, ending the battle swiftly and efficiently. After inspecting their bodies, Noah discovers something suspicious. The attackers were cavalry soldiers. But Elmria does not possess any war horses. This realization tells him that something far more complicated is happening behind the rebellion. The following day, Noah meets with Byron again and explains the situation regarding the rebels and the cavalry. He gives Byron 10,000 rand and orders him to buy up the entire supply of horse feed. Noah reasons that since war horses are not commercially sold or bred, the rebels must be stealing horse feed from civilians. If the supply of feed suddenly disappears, the rebels will be forced to steal it from military sources instead, exposing their activities. Byron immediately understands the brilliance of the plan and stands up at once to put it into action. As Noah looks up at the ceiling, he feels confident that this strategy will make things far easier for his brother when the time comes to confront the rebels.